Is the Franklin Township Shade Tree Commission on September 24th, our regular monthly meeting, and it is 7:22, and I'm calling the meeting to order in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Quickly on roll call, we have Arnie Schmidt, we have Carol Parker, we have Chris Williams, we have Mary Lauco, we have Ellen Thompson, and I know that Connor is trying to get in and hopefully can join us soon. As I was saying, I think that we have a good, fairly short agenda today. I want to concentrate on a few things and just kind of work through the rest of it. And I did send out a revised agenda and a revised set of minutes this morning or last night. I can't remember when I did it. Because I had forgotten to include Environmental Commission discussion at the end of our last monthly meeting. So hopefully you guys have those revised materials. And I can, yeah, so anyway. So Secretary's report, we want to approve the August minutes. So does anyone have any comments or changes to the August minutes as revised that I sent out? So it has, in addition to whatever else was on it before when I sent it out to you, it has 3 items under new business. The second item was the revision, adding that item. Any comments, changes? Make sure that you unmute if you need to talk.
I'll make a motion to approve as they are.
I will second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, a show of hands for approving the minutes as written. And any opposed? All right, then the meeting minutes are approved as written, and Connor is asking what the number is to get in. Oh, good God. Shoot.
See me?
Yeah, we can see you, Ellen.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Does anybody have Connor's number? Can one of you let me go ahead with the meeting and one of you email Connor with the correct information?
I do not have Connor's number.
He is been part of our group emails. No? Okay, I'll just talk amongst yourself and I'll take time to do this then. Hold on a second.
Sarah, I did include him on the email that I forwarded with the meeting information.
Right.
So you should have that. And I think there's call-in information on there.
Yeah, he can use that information to call in. We won't see him, but he can talk.
He has given us a phone number to call.
I don't think that's going to work.
It's not going to work. Hold on a minute. Let me just text him or write him.
While we're doing that, I make a motion, we open the meeting to the public, if there is any public.
There's no public.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I make a motion, we close the meeting to the public.
I'll second that.
Okay. Ellen, are you taking notes? You got that right?
Sarah, do you want me to read you the phone number to call?
Yes.
It's 1-408.
I'm sorry.
408.
408.
418.
418.
9388.
9 what?
9388.
9388. Thank you. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, let's keep going then. Treasurer's report, I've requested the information, and I did not get it again. Connor has indicated via email yesterday that he was working on getting caught up on the materials that we need from the township. His response to me from the email that I sent was that he's working on getting caught up and that he was away for a week vacation. So my fingers are crossed that maybe next month we'll have what we need. If I get it sooner, I will send out a report to everybody via email so that you have a chance to review it before our next meeting. So I will keep pushing on that. If I don't receive the information within the next week, I will be copying Bob Vornmacher on my next request for that information. So, then Shade Tree Commission status update. So we're still down a member for regular meetings. And as you saw from the email that I sent out the other day, yesterday, that Bob Hudak has requested a leave of absence until the new year. So, I think we're fine. We still have a quorum. We will limp along as long as people show up for the meetings, the next two meetings. As long as we get a quorum for those, we can continue to do business. And everybody sent him his good wishes. I didn't know that his mom had died. That was a surprise to me. He said that he hadn't told anyone. So,
I didn't know his mother died either.
yeah,
Sad to hear.
yeah, very sad to hear that. So you see him around, give him good wishes, but I told him that we would copy him on materials, but that we wouldn't bother him with any meeting details. And that we'll see him in the new year. So. But in terms of the open position, if you're talking to anybody that shows the least little bit of interest in trees or the Shade Tree Commission, or has gotten really tired of open space or environmental commission and wants something new, send them our way. We really do need to fill that alternate seat anyway. I think we do have 3 terms expiring in December, mine included. And we really should get some additional people on the commission to make sure that we don't have any vacancies, and that you guys can continue to do business regardless of what happens. So, commission requirements. We do have the annual meeting for New Jersey for the Urban and Community Forestry program coming up. It's going to be virtual this year. Did everybody get the email directly from them? You should have. Is everyone getting those emails? Tell them about the convention and the webinars. Okay, if you can join, please do.
Does it cost to join the meeting?
I didn't look at the registration materials. Did anybody do that?
I think it was free this year. If I'm not mistaken. I don't.
Well, that would be nice if it worked.
Cost.
That would be nice if it worked free this year. Well, like I say, if you can, you can. If you can't, from what Connor told us at the last meeting, my expectation is that we will have with the course that we should. Where is he? Says he's on the phone, and I need to unmute him. Where is he?
There's a lot of background noise still, and I know it's not me because I've been muted.
Okay, Connor said he's on the phone, and can I unmute him? Where is he? I don't see him. Oh, this is so frustrating.
Look under the guest column.
I am. I'm looking under.
Sarah, when I started, I think when I joined, I was automatically muted. I noticed that. So I don't know if you did some like universal mute of everyone. I don't know how it functions, but maybe there's a way to like universally unmute everybody.
Sarah, I think well, I can't do it, but if you go to the right where on this, hold on a second, because I just found, if you go to the bottom on my computer, anywhere where it says participants,
Yeah,
click on participants,
yeah.
then click on view all attendees. And then
Oh, here, I see it.
where it says Connor Ferretti, and maybe
Okay. Okay, Connor, are you there?
Yes. Can you guys?
Oh, great. Can everybody else hear Connor?
All right. So I have my computer running as well, but I just can't get my camera turned on.
Okay, so you can see us, but you can't.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Good. We're all here. Okay, so we're on to commission requirements CEUs. So what I was going to say is that with the couple of the CEUs that we've received, we've learned from other members, myself included, that with the ones that DPW are going to this year. Whoa, that's really. Hey, Connor, do you have the ability to mute yourself when you're not talking to us? That'd be great.
I can try and mute it like the phone was.
Yeah, just mute your phone when you're not talking. We've got some feedback.
All right.
Thank you. I don't know where else that's coming from. Attendees. There's a call-in user 732-789. Who is that number? Is that one of you guys?
It's me.
It's who?
Yes, both the phone and
You have both your phone and the computer on? You
Yeah.
can hang up your phone. Carol, if that's you, hang up your phone.
me. I think it's Connor. He has two. He
Oh,
has his
Connor.
phone and the computer.
Okay. All right, so now we just have the phone, I think. So that should help with the noise. All right. Wow, this is really a fun meeting, isn't it? Okay, lots of technical difficulties. Okay, so let's go through. Connor, I'll ask you to unmute again because we're going to talk about tree plantings, development, maintenance. If you could just give us an update on what the township's been doing in the last month.
Wait a minute, the sound got all swimmy when you're talking about the CEUs, you said with the ones that DPW got, and then it's
Right.
under-
Oh, so DPW is going to be earning CEUs for trainings, and they will have plenty of CEUs to cover us for the township for this year. And Connor's working on the documentation to make sure that we have that. So Connor, are you still there? Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. So just kind of catching up on things. Just to fill you in, I got some kind of like budget material, I guess, from the office. I think it's both an annual and a monthly.
Wonderful. If you could just email that to me, that would be great.
I actually have them in paper form. And then I also have a master list from the training company for our line clearance from last year for 2019. And it shows who passed their certificates, all that info. So I got that. And then I think the last thing we're just waiting for is the annual, like what does it cost DPW to do all the work? Like
Yes,
all that
yeah.
info. And
the
that
annual
is that's like the last thing that's being worked on. unfortunately, it came down to my boss just kind of forgetting about it. So I've been pushing him, like my direct foreman, not Carl. So I've been trying to get on him to get that done as well. So I'm hoping within the next couple of days we have that.
Great. If you don't have a way to convert the hard paper copies to an electronic copy, would you be able to drop them on my porch?
Yes.
Okay, great. We can make those arrangements then. So because I can go ahead and deal with them after I have them in hand. That would be super.
Okay.
So we can deal with that via email after the meeting in the next couple of days. So arrange for you to drop them off. I don't know if you know where I live or anything, so figure that out. Okay, great. So how about, can you give us an update on tree plantings in the township since we last met with you?
So we actually haven't done anything this year, and of course it's like last minute. But looking at the budget items and the budget that we have, I was told that I should probably go up to Northern Nurseries. Again, I'll talk to Carl about that. And maybe pick out a few trees. I don't know how many, but I'll see about that and see if we can get planting.
Great. And where are you? What's the area that you're looking at planting right now?
I want to put a couple in Pine Grove Park. I want to put a couple into Castleton. And those are the two right now. Middle Bush is pretty well, full. And then I just gotta double check, just take a look around town, see where we can put them.
Okay, I recall from a previous discussion, I don't know if you were part of it, that there were quite a few damaged or dead trees in Middle Bush Park. Will you be looking to replace those at this time as well?
Yeah. So that was one of the things I went over with Carl. Just getting all those dead trees out, stump grinding, and we'll get the new ones in as soon as possible. So maybe I'm going to talk to him tomorrow to just see about going up to Northern, see what trees they have left. Just because winter's right around the corner, so they're going to start getting rid of their inventory. So I mean, I had no clue that I was going to be in charge of that, so that was kind of sprung up on me.
Surprise! Well, Northern Nursery's good people, so hopefully they can set you up, and if it's end of the year, maybe the township can get them on sale, which would be really good for the tree fund. So maybe it's a win-win. We'll see.
Yeah.
So great. So we'll look forward to hearing how that all went at our next meeting. Does anyone have any questions for Connor on tree plantings and replacements?
Sarah, I have two things. One is for you, one is for Connor. Maybe this is part of the financial report, but how much do we have approximately in the tree fund? Do you know?
That is the report that Connor has received, and I'll let you know when I get it.
What's the last amount that you recall seeing?
That was well over a year ago, so I don't think that's really relevant. So we'll see when we get to the report.
Well, then I guess that's something that we really need to find out. And if that's Connor would be getting that, is that what you're saying?
That's what Connor just said. He has just received the report. It's in a hard copy, and he's going to give it to me this week, and then I will format it, review it, confirm it, and send it out to you guys. And I'll do that before our next meeting. I'll do it as soon as I get it from Connor.
Good. I mean, I'm just looking for the bottom line, what that number is in reference to some other things that are going on, which I'll get to later on. So I guess both my questions are actually for Connor, and that was the first one. The second one was based on minutes of our last meeting, it says Connor reported that DPW has looked at those, where's those two groups of 3 trees on JFK, but they don't have a plan of what to do yet. And I'm wondering if there's any update on that. I went by there today and there's still, the 2 groups of 3 are still there.
Connor,
So just to give you an update on that, I actually spoke to Carl the next day about that, and what we're gonna end up doing is I'm gonna take Bob's suggestion on waiting until the trees are dormant. I'm currently I'm actively trying to get quotes for possibly a shade tree or a spade tree truck, which basically digs into the ground around the tree, will transplant the soil and everything, the tree and all, and we'll move it to another location down JFK. We'll replace it with the soil. That way, if we come in with a loader with the forks or something along those lines, we don't just destroy the tree and just end up wasting money.
Well, I guess my question is if it's going to cost you, if you're renting something that might cost you a couple $100, is it worth saving? Is it worth saving the trees and just spending a couple $100 on some new trees? I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know. What are we looking at? $200, $500 to rent?
I can say this, it'll probably be $1,000 to rent that truck, at least.
Didn't catch that, Chris.
It'll probably be $1,000 to rent that truck. Now, if you can move we've got to move 4 trees. If you could move all 4 trees in the same day, it would be cost effective. If you can't, it's not cost effective.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how
one of the things
1,000.
that
I'm
we'll
not.
be looking.
Go ahead, Connor.
So that's going to be one of the things that I'm going to be looking at. I mean, we obviously want to just save the tree. I want to try and save the trees as best as we can. But I mean, if it's not ended up going to be cost effective, we'll just end up just ripping the trees out, I guess, and we'll just replant.
So you just rip out or take out, either way, the 2 outside trees in each one and keep the middle one there.
Yeah, I mean, if that truck is not cost effective, then we'll end up doing it that way. But I was going to take Bob's suggestion of just waiting until the trees are dormant to move them. That way we don't stress them out and end up killing them anyway. I mean, I want to try and save them as best as we can.
Good. Thank you.
I like that idea.
Okay, any other questions for Connor on trees? Trees doing.
The question I have, Sarah, is do we have any idea if the public, when we put a hazardous tree on log a hazardous tree into the website, does PEW get it? Or where does it go? In other words, my neighbor put in a tree that's dying. It's not dead yet. And I believe Bob had his neighbor put in a tree that was dead. What happens to that data? Does Connor know that?
That's a good question. That's one of the things that we wanted to try to find out. And to know that you had done it and your neighbor had done it was one of the first steps of that. So, Connor, do you know if how that process works in terms of people putting into the township portal that they have an issue with a tree? And how does that come to you guys to work on? And how does it get prioritized within the DPW?
So I'm not actually sure how all that was working. I did write something down last week about the last meeting. about the blue tags, but I wasn't sure what it was. But I think that just answered my question. But I'm not sure if they have a master list, and we just kind of go through it. What do we got that day, and all right, what's close? What can we do? Like this, that. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm writing things down that way I can also bring this to Carl in the morning.
Just as way of background, Connor, this is two different issues really, but it's kind of combined. It's generally about getting some way for township residents and us as the Shade Tree Commission to report trees that are of great concern. Either, it's a broken limb, they've fallen over, they're dead, they're a hazard to life and property. And in our belief was that if you put it into the township portal, it would find its way to DPW and it would get dealt with. But people who put information into the portal don't get any information back to confirm that that was received and to tell them what's going to happen. So that's just a general hazardous tree issue. Then the other part of it is the blue tags, which was part of a state grant that we received. Gosh, it's been 3 years now, I think, to hire a consultant to go around and tag all of the street trees in the entire township and all the roadways that were either in decline, dead or dying, broken limbs, or were ash trees. They inventoried all ash trees. So it was a hazardous tree and ash tree assessment. And the consultant went through and created maps and an inventory and coded all the trees and put blue tags on all the trees that went into the inventory. And the inventory included information about what kind of tree it was, where it was located, how large, the species, and how serious of a condition it was in. So very hazardous, immediate removal. There was like 5 levels of indicators. One was just watch it, keep an eye on it. It's an ash tree. It looks fine right now, but keep an eye on it. In 5 years, you might have to take it down. All the way up to very dangerous and should be removed immediately. And the expectation was that that information would be used by the DPW to prioritize management of trees on township roadways. Then our expectation then is that this portal information would also feed into that. But those blue tags is this separate project that was done by the consultants. And then the other is just how do people get in to make sure that information, that trees they're concerned about, how do they find out information about them? Where they are in the prioritization of the township to deal with them. So there has to be some sort of so there's 2 things that we need from you. The first is to find out the process, how that information goes from the township portal to the DPW for prioritization. And the second is to find out where you are, where the DPW is in dealing with the inventory and the prioritization that the consultants had given us a year plus ago. Carl was very involved in all of the consultant work, the grant work that was done, so he should be able to bring you up to speed on that. If he isn't, I would be very happy to have a separate phone call conversation with you about it, and to make sure that you get the inventories that I got, though the DPW should have the actual inventories. I have copies of things. So that's something we've been struggling with for a while, but because no one from DPW was coming to our meetings since almost the consultant left, we don't know where this got left off. So this really is something we need to have figured out in the next meeting, because it's really gone on too long. And there's a lot of hazardous trees in the township that were identified through that process and new ones that have been put into the portal since then. As Chris just said, he put in one, Bob put in one, etc.
So, I mean, would they be township trees, or like is anyone just able to put any tree in? Because I know what I've seen, the consultant went onto, I guess, private property as well, on the other side of the sidewalk, which the township will, according to the ordinance, at least from what I know, township will not do on the other side of the sidewalk, no matter what the right-of-way is. But if there is no sidewalk, the township will take whatever the right-of-way of the road is.
Actually, the ordinance, I believe, states that if the tree is a hazard and could fall onto township property or hurt someone on township property, then the township does have a responsibility for it.
Okay.
So that needs to be clarified. But that is the reason the consultant, I tagged trees that were on private property, but that had a high probability of causing damage on public property or to people on public property, which is one of the reasons we exist, is to make sure that the township has liability for such situations, but they need to deal with that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I just wrote all this down, and then this is something I'm gonna have to bring in the morning.
Okay, and like I said, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you and or with Carl to kind of go back over what it is we really need through this process, which is transparency for the public.
Now, if you determine the tree is on private property, there's got to be a way so you can tell the person that reported it, this is beyond you, this is the engineering thing, to let them know that you're not going to take care of the tree, that it's their tree and they have to take care of it.
That's right.
So we have to, at a later date, Sarah, we have to deal with that.
I know. And so there needs to be some way for wherever that information goes in the portal, whoever looks at it and determines that it is on township property, township will deal with it. It is not on township property, the homeowner has to deal with it. In either instance, word has to get back to the person that put it into the portal. What's going to happen next? Or what they should do next. So that's what we need, is to be able for people to be informed about what is going to happen to the tree that they're inquiring about.
I don't know if this was asked, but how often is the portal looked at for things like this?
Well, I don't know that. This is a question for our township engineer.
Because the portal goes to engineering, right?
Yes.
Well, is that something that Connor can ask engineering? How often it's looked at? If we think that's important?
Yeah, as the township liaison, yeah, I would hope that Connor can communicate with other departments of the township for this information. But if not, Connor, let me know and we'll figure out another way to do it.
If they give you a hard time, Connor, just come back to us and we'll go a different route. How's that?
That works. On township engineering. Okay. I just wrote that down as well.
All right. Any questions from you, Connor?
No, I mean, I think I got everything so far that I need to discuss in the morning.
Okay, great. And like I said, contact me directly if you need clarification. Any other questions for Connor?
No.
Let him know
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Connor. We appreciate it.
No
We
worries.
do. Connor, yeah, Connor, I do want to say that, you're the township liaison. We can't do what we need to do without good communication with the township. And I'm glad you're here and I'm looking forward to really working through these, this initial getting you up to speed, getting us back on track. And hopefully everyone will exercise great patience and we can all work together. So thanks, Connor. And thanks to everyone
worries.
for your input.
Does anyone know how to get onto the portal? I'm trying to look at it from the from like a resident side of it. I'm on the Franklin Township website. Does anyone know where I would have to go?
The
Oh, wait,
engineering,
I think you go to the departments and then engineering, and then right on the front page there is citizen portal. And then you have to create an account, and I haven't gotten that far. I did find some trees in my neighborhood with blue tags, so I plan to submit something. But I prioritize the lanternfly article this week. But I'll be attempting to put in some reports in the next week or so.
Okay.
You good, Connor?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Mary,
Okay.
just on lanternflies. The Department of Agriculture has given up on lanternflies in Hunterdon County because there's thousands of them. In Somerset County, there are thousands of them in areas. It's a lost cause, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so I think we are done with the tree planting, development, maintenance, and update section of the agenda. Again, thank you everybody for participating in that, and we'll continue to work through this so we understand how to do this better. Public information, education events, community outreach projects. So I guess that's where we've been, because this is hazardous tree reporting process is what we were just discussing. Website updates, I'm still behind on that. So I
Sarah?
have nothing for you. Yes. Yeah.
Do we want that to be listed twice? I mean, it's, because I don't know where to put this information.
It should go into public information under the hazardous tree thing. Yeah, we just kind of jumped ahead.
Okay,
Right. There are two things there and they really should be all together.
thank you.
Okay. So on the website, I'm still working on the annual report and a bunch of other catch-up stuff, so I haven't gotten to the website yet. But I did get all of our back minutes and agendas posted, worked with the help desk to do that. So limping along there. Emerald ash borer and spotted lanternfly. Mary, thank you very much. Why don't you talk about the piece that you developed and tell people what you'd like them to do next?
Well, I pulled together the information that I've been kind of following, to find sources for them and kind of put it into language that is hopefully accessible to township folks that might be interesting to read and not too technical. And I have sources about what the current recommendations are for quarantine, what to do about trying not to move these things around, and then about eliminating them, things you can do and things you should not do. I hear from very dedicated nature lovers that birds are being hurt by people putting sticky wraps around trees to capture these lanternflies. So I put that in there, things not to do. So I understand it's an infestation that's growing, and I don't know as far as, how much effect we can really have in controlling it, but this is what's out there right now in terms of public recommendations. So I followed the guidance and our decision to try to put an article about this out there. So I sent out the draft, and I got back comments from Ellen, a couple of typos, which I also found. So I think it might be a little long, but I just put in the basics. I put in some links to like where to go for information. I don't know how that works in terms of the printed, if this is printed. And so I don't know if they would put in links like that. You have to like type it in on your computer. But there's just a lot of, like there's a video too about how to scrape off the egg masses.
I would envision that this is is something that will go on the township, on our web pages. So electronic version's perfectly great with the links. I have actually been, the project that I'm working on for work has to do with Department of Disability Services and how to make documents accessible to all kinds of audiences. And so we wouldn't actually put in the links with everything showing, like the HTTPS:// et cetera, because if someone's using a document reader, it reads all of those letters, when really all you need to say is, put a description of what that is with the link embedded underneath it. So I can work with you on that in terms of getting the document completely ready. And I think that Bob McQueen, is it Bob McQueen? Over at the IT department, he's really clued into accessible documents as well. So he can give us some tips on it too. But I think this is...
I know how to convert the links, but I thought this would be going into the Franklin Times thing.
We have no Franklin Times schedule yet still. So I think that we'll just submit it to the township and ask them to send it out as a PSA and put it on our website. So I think in terms of the PSA, maybe we'll come up with a shorter version that's an introductory version and says, go to our website with a web link for more information. And then the full version of that can be there. Does anybody have any concerns about doing it that way? Nope.
Just so people know, there's an elantra tree, which is an invasive tree that lanternfly loves.
Yeah, she hasn't, Mary pointed that out in her article.
Okay, because if it kills that tree, I don't care. Because it's a very invasive tree.
Yeah, it is. It's true.
The tree of heaven, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I found an article. I found a source for how to kill those trees, and it's wonderful because I've been trying to kill them in my yard for years, and I keep coming back. So I read specifically, like, I'm going to be an expert now killing tree of heaven, and I think I did it.
Oh, good job.
They're brown. They're dark brown and dry now.
Good job.
We'll see. We'll see what happens next spring.
Well, that's the beauty of the website, is that we can put additional information on there. We can, continue to add info. I think that as a township entity, we have to be careful about telling people how to kill things. But as long as it is something that has been approved by Rutgers or one of the other cooperative extensions, we can quote that. If it's a formula or remedy, then we can't do that. Go there, but I want to know about it.
That's why I put in the checklist and
Right.
Things that the list of chemicals to fill them with the USDA. They put that together, so it's there. And then my job comes in. This goes both ways. I learn things here that I use on my job and vice versa. My job, we were told not to use the word kill, but eliminate, control, and then something else. There's a third. Okay.
All right. Let us know when you think of it.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you for doing this. So if anybody has any more comments for Mary on the article, please get them to her before, like in the next several days. And then Mary, just do whatever tweaks you need. We can go back and forth via email, and then get me the final copy. And then a blurb for a PSA pulled from the article. And then we can, I can contact the township and we can get that sent out.
How many sentences do you think the blurb should be?
When you're seeing something on the town sent out by the township, something that just catches your eye.
Yeah, that's
the
first paragraph. I tried to make it like that, like when I catch it.
Yeah, I think something like that. I will say that you started with in July and August this year. They actually had one trying to come in along with the brown marmorated stink bugs yesterday, and it actually made it into my house, and I had to capture it. So they are now very visible, trying to find winter locations. So maybe you could expand that a little bit.
The best thing to do is to put a picture of the lanternfly. It's a very pretty bug. If you put a picture of it and tell people, look out for this guy. That would help.
Yeah, apparently you didn't look at Mary's article because there was a lovely picture in there.
I'm just saying on the blurb.
Yes, on the blurb. Good point. On the blurb. Make sure there's a good visual. Absolutely. Okay, good. Well, thank you, Mary. And we will move forward from there on that one. Okay, so next up, again, nothing from Franklin Times yet. Boy Scouts is deferred until post-COVID. Arbor Day, no clue yet. We're not going to talk about that. So the next item on our agenda is landscape guidelines for development applications. So I will turn this over to Ellen.
Well, I put together a bullet point, a list to remind ourselves in conversation with Sarah. I actually needed to be refreshed, have my memory refreshed as to how this all came about and what our goals were. So I did put together a combination of Sarah's original bullet points, which she very kindly found in an email that I was included on back in 2018. And also some other items, including my discussion with Mark Healy, who did get back to me today, and he confirmed that is what we talked about with one minor change. So, I mean, I can share that with everybody. I mean, I'm sorry. And also I assembled an Excel spreadsheet where that includes the recommended trees on several towns, local or adjacent towns to us, or relatively adjacent. Off the top of my head, it was Highland Park, Princeton, South Brunswick, and one other I can't remember. And also, I think it was the New Jersey Tree Federation, but it included a page or a separate tab for do not plant trees that were part of the New Jersey Invasive Species Task Force, which is now Friends of Hopewell Valley Open Space. And so I tried to highlight those on the first page that has the recommended trees.
Ellen, I can put that up as a share for everyone to take a look at. So I'll put the spreadsheet up first, and we can take a look at that.
And these are works in progress.
So this is the spreadsheet showing the tree selection. Can you guys see that? Actually, let me make it a little bit bigger. 100%. Here we go. Okay, so those are not on the phone. Yeah, so so it has the species, the common name on the first column. It has the Latin name in the next column. Then it has whether it's on the Franklin Township list. Actually, there's another column in there, isn't there? Why isn't that showing? You had one. Okay, anyway, there's Franklin Township, Highland Park, Montgomery Township, Princeton, South Brunswick, and then the total towns that had recommended that tree. And I remember from an earlier version that you also had, Ellen, whether or not it was or maybe you just took them all off, those that were on the do not plant list for a New Jersey invasive species strike team.
Tab. Unless that's an earlier version.
That's yeah, maybe it is. But anyway, so this is a great list. This is a great starting list, and I know that Ellen has some other work to do on it. But you know, obviously there's different soils in these different townships, so we don't want to necessarily jump on South Brunswick's bandwagon. But it's just really a good idea to take a look at what's growing around in the area. What needs to be considered yet, from the conversation I had with Ellen the other day, and is that we need to make sure that the species that we ultimately come up with are generally available. And so probably running this list by our usual suppliers to see if we're recommending something that's just impossible to get, and then maybe coming up with some sort of an alternate. So that's that list. And then the other piece that you had up was, I don't seem to have it open. The one-page document where you had the reasons and considerations and goals and tasks. Yeah, no, I don't have it available. So I will stop sharing now. So Ellen sent that out to you guys, so take a look at it. Ellen, tell us what you want us to do next with these documents. Do you know yet?
I'm open to suggestions.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how do we determine which ones to include? And it isn't just based on everybody's favorites, I would guess. I mean, how do we go about selecting them? Run it by, like, I keep mentioning our county cooperative extension agent, but who else do we, who's an authority that would be best to advise us, or do we just wing it? That doesn't sound very scientific after doing all the background research, but.
Okay, let me take a step backward on this too also. Just to refresh everyone's mind, the reason that we were doing this is because the Environmental Commission had a landscape guideline list that was being used by the township, given to developers, that they were using to guide them in how to plant trees, what kinds of trees to plant, what kind of maintenance practices. I think bushes and ground covers were also included. I think Mark Healy wants that to be part of the document going forward, though it isn't necessarily a role of the Shade Tree Commission. We could do the research, but it's not really our job to recommend those. And then ultimately what we would be doing is making a recommendation to the Environmental Commission to change their document to include X, Y, and Z, and to exclude, A, B, C, so that it's a better document that will be a better guide to developers in the township. I think Mark was interested. Ellen, when you and I talked the other day, it was like taking this list and then adding columns to it, the kinds of trees that would be good to grow here, the bushes or shrubs or whatever, and then adding some columns to say that this tree is particularly good for a swale or a berm or a retention basin, or it's particularly good for the space between the sidewalk and the street, so that it's just a much more helpful guide to developers who maybe aren't particularly savvy about trees.
Thank you for refreshing my memory.
Yeah.
The information is in the original document, but it is not presented in a concise way that is a handy, quick glance kind of guide, even though it's going to be extensive, but and it's redundant. And there is a guide from a town in Pennsylvania that presents the information in that way, although rather than listing particular trees, they just have a bunch of links, and we concluded that developers aren't going to be clicking on all those links. So if we can incorporate that information into a spreadsheet like this, have columns like Mary was saying for swales or, well, berms, columnar trees, that sort of thing, it might be a better reference more readily usable reference. So
Probably condensing the languages in the bulk of the report and adding appendices that explain things more clearly and that are just quick reference guides. So I think I believe, if I can just jump forward with a suggested next step, I think is to first everyone take a look at the documents that Ellen sent out. If there are any trees on that list that you absolutely could not abide us using, please send us an email, Ellen and me, so I can help her with this, because Bob is not on this project anymore. And if anybody else wants to join the project, I think Ellen could use an extra pair of hands on this. I know, Mary, you were on it a long time ago, but you have a bunch of other stuff going on. So just, Carol, I don't know if you're interested in this project, but
Yeah.
basically,
Ellen, I could help you with it if you'd like.
great. Awesome. So I think the next step is to take a look at the list and clean that up, add the other columns to it that suggest how the trees could best be used. And then everyone confirm that one-page document that Ellen had sent out that discussed the overall goals of this project, and see if you have any concerns with that, and get that to us in the next couple of days so that we're all on the same page with this.
did I send that to everybody? Because I don't remember. I've gotten so
I
confused.
thought you did just before the meeting, didn't?
Yeah, I saw an email from you, but I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
so everyone has that.
The bit where Mark Healy's comment, which is actually just something we discussed about the replace this number of trees per 200 square feet or something. He said he was just quoting from an ordinance or something. So that wasn't his opinion. He was referring to another document. So that would come out. Otherwise, he said it was accurate.
Yeah. So,
but I don't think he sent out the spreadsheet to everybody. So
okay, that's fine. So
I can do.
Okay, so you can do that. Yeah. And then I think coming up with an outline of what the report would look like in the different components, and identify those which we would be able to do and those which we would throw back to the Environmental Commission to deal with, or maybe have to consult with planning or some other department on how to make it work right. Obviously, it needs to stay aligned with our ordinances, with our mission in terms of what we put into it. So I think that's kind of where you go next. And if you could come back to us at the next meeting with that outline and, kind of like the next steps from there, that would be really great. When I was going back through emails to try to figure out, to try to find the original guidelines and a couple of the other, and that list of suggestions of why we should be doing this. The emails dated back 2 years. So we've been pushing this to the curb for a really long time. And I think that I'd really love to see this get finished. So as Ellen and Carol and whomever else wants to jump on board for this moves this forward, we'll keep this going at the meetings, and hopefully by the end of the year have a draft that could go to the Environmental Commission for their further involvement, since it was their document to begin with. But Ellen and Carol, if that's too aggressive, and if you run into roadblocks, well, we'll deal with that too. So the world is full of surprises and challenges these days, so we'll just cope. Any questions about this? Great. Thank you, Ellen, for keeping this moving forward. Thank you, Carol, for joining it. And to Bob in the Ozone for his involvement earlier on. All right, so next up is Environmental Commission Green Roof Initiative. And I will turn this over to Arnie now.
And Arnie has to unmute. So I'll preface what I'm going to say with the Environmental Commission this week reviewed plans for 2 large temples on South Middlebush Road. They're scheduled to go before the zoning board next week. One of the plans included clear cutting a very large area of trees, unfortunately, and that property that they're hoping to build on also has a very large open space area that we were hoping they would build on instead of clear cutting those trees. So sort of going backwards in our plans to increase the area of trees that we have. So the plan also called for a planting shortage of over 300 trees of the trees being removed. I believe the structure of the roof is over 20,000 square feet. And structures like this and large warehouses that we would like to add something to the new stormwater management plan about requiring green roofs under specific circumstances. We're drafting a resolution about green roofs, how they're beneficial for the environment, facility energy savings, new habitats for plants and animals like birds and bees. They're good for stormwater runoff. They're financially advantageous, including prolonging the life of roofs, and a lot more. That will lead us to preparing our proposal, a section that we would like to add to the new stormwater management plan about the need for green roofs on new buildings with specific types of roofs. We would also like to explore the idea of amending the tree replacement part of the tree ordinance to find ways to help with green roofs. We're not exactly sure how that works. We don't think it's a state requirement about only the fund can only be used for trees. We think that's just a matter of the township's ordinance, but that's something that we need to find out. I don't know if you know the answer to that, Sarah, or if anybody else does.
I do not know off the top of my head. Nope.
So that's where we are right now. We're hoping to have the resolution finalized at our next meeting. And again, that will lead to us having discussions with whether it's Carl or Mark or whoever about the new stormwater management plan has to be ready by March 2nd. The regulations were recently passed requiring our ordinance and all township ordinances be completed by then and effective by then. I don't know if any of you have been on Randolph Road recently and seen the Amazon facility there. Has anybody been there? Raise your hands. I'm just curious. If you haven't been there, take a look at these buildings. There's the Amazon building and there's two other buildings on that site. And they are, right, Mary, they are humongous. And they have these huge flat roofs that, and, you know, it's barren. It's basically barren of trees, the whole area. Great places for a green roof. We actually sent a letter to Amazon who they are looking to, they're a very green company, and they talked about doing something with their roofs. So we sent them a letter seeing if they want to sit down and discuss with us the possibility of green roofs on that facility. So we're, you know, again, that letter I think just went out yesterday or maybe today. I'm not even sure when. So that would be, a building like that would be great to have a green roof. So anyway, that's where we are with this situation.
FYI, that is the first place in Franklin Township that our Sand Hills cranes have came to. If anybody knows what a sand.
When you say came to, are they no longer coming, or what are you saying?
Well, they have been coming to Mettler's Lane lately. There's an open space area owned by the county that I think Bob plants corn on. After they harvest the corn, the cranes go in there and eat the pieces of corn left that get knocked off the husk. And that's what that field was a cornfield at one time. Okay?
Arnie,
Yes.
your question about replanting trees, that I think is what Mark was talking about. Whoa. He said chapter 222. Now, I don't know if that's a zoning ordinance, but he said chapter 222 trees already addresses required replacement trees, and the zoning ordinance requires 1 tree for 2,000 square feet of pavement for site plans. Is that what you were talking about?
I don't think so. I think it's the land use ordinance where they have the tree requirements. And it's, it talks about what's the word for the girth of a tree? I forget. At 3 feet for every
Diameter base height. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What was that? Sarah, what was that?
It's the DBH, the diameter at breast height.
Right. I know there's another name for it. But yeah, there's a whole section. There's a list that shows if you've removed X amount of trees, you have to replace them with X amount of trees by a certain size and all that. And if you don't, because you don't have anywhere to put them, that's when you send the money to the tree fund.
It's called a caliper tree. It's a caliper tree. Is the
right caliper of the tree. That's what I was looking. Meanwhile, we're losing these huge canopies, which is what we're trying to increase. But we're like at this temple, we're losing a huge canopy if that temple does go in there. And again, there's a whole open space area that they could be planting on. There might be some other good reason that I'm not aware of that they're not putting their temple there. But just don't like to lose those trees, and then the money just goes into a tree fund where the trees are planted one here, one there, scattered in many different places, which is good that we're planting them, but that doesn't give you a canopy like we have now.
Arnie, where is those supposed to be put in on Middle Bush? Down.
One of them is right next to Snyder's Farm. I believe that's the one that's the 21,000 square foot. The other one, I believe, is where the leaf compost facility used to be.
I thought that was state property, that leaf compost pile.
You mean a part of 6 Mile Run?
Yes.
Apparently not, because that's my understanding of where it was going to go. So maybe part of that. Yeah, I would have thought that was part of 6 Mile Run also, but apparently that part is not.
Okay. Because Open Space did have an opportunity to buy some of that land, and we chose not to. The one near side of Snyder's Farm.
You mean 6 Mile Run or another area?
No, next to Snyder's Farm, that big forest next to Snyder's Farm. Remember we saw a sign up, for sale?
Right. Yeah, do you remember the reason that we did not purchase it? Were they asking too much, or what was going on?
Because they couldn't build anything on it.
Well, apparently they are. Unless it's a different area next to Snyder's Farm. I just not sure about that.
Okay. We'll find out when I present it to the zoning board. But
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if I said that earlier, but they're supposed to go in front of the zoning board next Thursday, I believe is when it is. This was supposed to go in front of the zoning board several weeks ago. And of course, this is all virtual. I guess it was pushed back because there were some issues about whether the right people were advised of the meeting. And everybody within 200 feet have to be told that this meeting is going to occur. So I think that's one of the reasons that it was pushed back.
Yeah, religious organizations are very hard to deny zoning permits to.
I think there are two things that I'm hearing from what Arnie said that we need to be concerned with. The first is whether or not, how that affects the shade tree fund. That they're, if they opted to go with a green roof instead of having someone take that couldn't replace the trees to pay in the fund, and they put in a green roof instead. Number one, what does that do to the shade tree fund? And then secondly, what does that do to our overall goals for improving the canopy cover? Remember, we have a goal of 42% of the canopy cover, and we were at 30 something, 38, I think, and rapidly moving in the wrong direction with the things that have happened. And Arnie, it's a good point that you make, that we do use the fund for some scattershot plantings, but we just haven't, this commission hasn't done any serious big scale projects because there aren't that many pieces of property left in the township that we could do that with. So that is a concern. And it kind of makes it sound like our goal is maybe not achievable, but we certainly need to look at this a little bit more closely to make sure that this doesn't go against us in that regard. So,
Well, right now, there's nothing in the ordinance that would allow them to forego putting money in the fund, and instead of that, doing a green roof. But what we're looking to do is possibly amend the ordinance so they are able to do that in some way. Instead of putting money in the fund, plant a green roof, or add a green roof, whatever you want to call it. So that's what we're looking at right now. One of the things.
I would argue that there are different values that you get from a green roof than you do trees. So it's not a one-to-one trade-off. It would be great if you could get them to do a green roof and still pay into the tree fund. So, but, good luck. Good luck. I hope that you find some way of dealing with these enormous projects that are going in with all of this hard surfaces. It's really does have an impact, a very big impact long term.
Well, right now, like I said, with Amazon, their plans are all done. They've already put their building in. So they've already probably donated money to the tree fund for whatever it is they took down. I don't know the exact situation there, but we're still asking them, would it be possible for you to do green roofs on your huge building? Because they are trying to be environmentally sensitive. We want to meet with them and discuss it with them. And we're asking them in the letter, I believe we're saying that you would be setting an excellent example for other facilities to do the same thing. You can be a leader.
Sure. Any questions for Arnie on this topic? Anything that you want the Environmental Commission to report back?
Good luck, Arnie, with Amazon.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Okay.
And I don't know if religious organizations have to pay into the tree fund. There is an exemption. I do not know if religious organizations, since this is a temple, have to pay into the tree fund.
I've never seen anything in the ordinance where there's that exemption. Maybe I missed it, but I haven't seen that.
Okay.
But if there is an exemption, I would really like to see that really soon before the zoning board meets next Thursday.
Okay. I don't know if I can find it. because I don't have a copy of the ordinance. But, okay.
It's online. Everybody can get that stuff online.
I mean, that would be pretty brutal that on top of clear cutting a huge area, they don't have to put anything into the tree fund.
I know that religious organizations have tax exemptions, but the shade tree fund is not a tax. It's an offset construction damages, basically.
Right.
So I would be very surprised if anybody is exempt from that.
Yeah, I would be surprised also.
Yeah, but it would be great. Chris, if you can find what you recall seeing, that would be really important. You share it with others to find it.
I will try and find it.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will hear more about this next month, I guess. If anything dramatic comes up in the meantime, Arnie, I will rely on you to send us an email and get us up to date. All right. I did not receive any public inquiries. Did anybody else get any public inquiries? Okay, great. Then, and let me see. There are no other attendees, no public, so we do not need to do a second opening of the meeting to the public. So any other new business or any other questions or concerns people have? Connor, it's nice to see you. Nothing? All right, then, you know the drill.
Make a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Chris, any discussion? All in favor of adjourning the meeting, raise your hands. Any opposed? Speak out. All right, meeting is adjourned at 8:39. Thank you.